Hey folks, Rex Bear here with Leak Project. I'd like to thank you for joining us this edition. We have guest Wayne Miller with us. Wayne has been almost a lifetime contactee, and over the past couple of years, he's taken hundreds of photographs of these incredible UFOs. They are just absolutely strange. They've got these colors and shapes and patterns that just don't correlate with your typical metallic disc flying saucer. So I would definitely like your opinions on what you feel they might be. Wayne isn't sure either. He's got some ideas and he's going to share that with us during this episode, but take a look. And also, if you would like to have access to all the latest podcasts first and free, make sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel, youtube.com/clandestine Time Lord. So kick back, enjoy the ride, and be the change you want to see.
Okay, well, I live in Pocatello, Idaho. I'm originally from California, and I had a lot of visitations and stuff there. And, as things happen, you just kind of go with the flow. So I ended up here in Pocatello, and, I go out one night, and you look at the stars, you look over here, you look over there, and when you look back, there's something there that wasn't there a second ago, and then it just starts glowing really bright, and then it glows down, and then it moves off, and I'm like, wow, this is interesting. So I had this little point and shoot camera, and I would take pictures of these things, and one of my Facebook friends, Wilbur Allen, I'm sure some of your viewers know who he is. He's a National Geographic photographer. I would send these pictures to him, and he goes, God, what do you got? Like a camera with like a 3mm lens. He says, you need a better camera. Yeah, and I was proud of what I had, but this little camera, I would take. It has this, what do they call it, a burst rate or something. You hold down the button, it'll shoot like 20 pictures, and I would put it on a tripod, and I would push down the button, and it would take 20 pictures in 3.5 seconds. And man, you'd see things go across the sky in there that you wouldn't see with your eyes. And I would send those to Wilbur, and he just kept on me. You need a better camera, nobody's going to believe you. So I finally did get one, and he pretty much taught me how to use it online on Facebook. But anyway, I've been taking pictures. I have things going on during the day that I take pictures of. I still do the same thing during the day. I do the burst rate thing, Some photographers call it like a spray and pray. But the stuff that we'll probably be talking most about at night, the pictures on my Going Dark site on Facebook, pretty much all taken at night.
Well, and as you're talking, I'm flipping through some of the first set of pictures here, and I'm going to go back to the very first one. So this was taken, the first one I'm looking at, February 11th. And then,
okay.
So I click on this, and the first image that comes up is this bluish, whitish orb, and just incredible. I'm going to put this into full screen here. And then when I go to the next image, this one's even more fascinating. It almost looks like there's this stick figure with a little, I'm not saying that's what it is, but it just kind of looks like some type of bean or something is inside of it there. So it's like a pinkish purple.
Okay, now on the right side, does it say January 29th?
Well, I've got it in full screen here, so
okay.
Let me, this was just the second one. When I clicked on that first image, and then I just scrolled over to the second one, it's the second one that's up, and it's got your name on the left corner there. It says Wayne Miller, UFO Photography.
Okay. Yeah, what these are, I like to tell people when you go out at night, most people, they go out, they look up, they don't see anything, and they just go back in the house. And, if you stay out for a little while and just look up, sometimes you see a star moving between the stars. And that's what this looks like when it goes over. It's basically a white light, but I have a Nikon D7000, which is a pretty good camera, and I have a Nikon 300mm lens, which is very powerful, and it's on a tripod, and I use a the shutter button that's wired and all that, so no vibrations. And I'll take a series of pictures of these things, and then when I load them onto the computer, I can zoom in even farther and see what's really going on. And then, depending on the colors of the things, I can take some of the light out of the picture, which will reveal this stuff. And as you take the light out and you play with the contrast back and forth, you can actually see deeper into the craft, almost like an X-ray. By playing with the light, you can go deeper. But these pictures, I've got the light pretty much where I like to see it. But what's going on there is I other people have called these a terminator. And I believe it's a network of basically bombs flying in our atmosphere. Now I don't know for sure. I've heard stories, and but I can't think of another reason why they would be up there. And since they fly slow, I've seen them go behind airplanes, and I know the military. They've probably messed with them in the past, and they probably didn't end well for them. Because what I believe these are basically a bomb that's flying in our atmosphere that's going to protect the planet against asteroid strikes. And there are videos of asteroids like over Russia and places recently where you can see an object come in from the rear and strike that asteroid and it blows up before it hits the planet. And I kind of think that might be what these are. Now, I don't know for sure. That's speculating, and people say you shouldn't do that, but I've been photographing these things for 4 years now, and I've never seen them do anything other than just patrol the skies. And they're silent. They move real steady, and I see them go right past airplanes, and I'm like, God, did that pilot see that thing or not? So anyway, that's what I think those are. There's some that stay lit, and that's what these are. They stay lit. If you see them go across the sky, and then there's other ones that flash on and off. And I think the ones that flash on and off might have consciousness or maybe somebody on board.
Like the Cylons in Battlestar Galactica.
Yeah,
Very interesting. Now, but
never
you're
know.
talking about the Terminators and such. Where did you first hear that idea?
I heard that from Valery Uverov. He's a Russian guy. He lives in Russia, of course. But I heard that if any of your listeners are familiar with Miles Johnston, he interviewed Valerie a few months back. And Valerie talked about that, and he showed the video of the object striking it. But that's where me and Valerie, we agreed at that point. And he says that he thinks that when an asteroid passes over, that a hole will open up in the ground and these things will shoot up out of the ground and attack the asteroid. And maybe so, but I haven't seen it. But I do see a lot of these flying around, and I've taken hundreds, if not thousands, of pictures of these things in the last 4 years. So I know they're up there. Sometimes you see two and three at a time. And I posted a picture on my regular Facebook page that Stanton Friedman posted, and it was a picture of a nuclear fission rocket. And the plumbing that was involved on the outside of this rocket looks just like these pictures. And that's what got me to thinking that these things, you know,
Let me jump in for a second because
go ahead.
didn't you say that the rocket that you're referring to that Stanton Friedman had a picture of, and then it looked like one of the pictures that you have a picture of? Is that the first picture that would be on Going Dark 1 that's at the very top of the screen?
That that's the same thing as the ones below.
Okay, it's like red, and then it's just a different color. It almost looks like there's some definite straight, jagged lines on this one, and then
Right.
there's something to the I guess you could say like 9 o'clock, or I'm sorry, around, yeah, 8, 9 o'clock there. So interesting. That's very interesting. So, and then if we look at the photos, I was looking through some of the photos that you've got, and the first batch of them from March 26th, and those have some very unique features to them. I noticed there's different colored lights on the inside that are straight lines and such. What do you think would be, what picture can we go to now that you were referring to that had the kind of plumbing on the inside? Would that be on this page that we're looking at right now, or would we need to go back to your other
Yeah,
page?
that would be January 29th.
Okay, let's scroll down and find that then. January 29th, there it is. Okay, I'm going to click on this batch of pictures here
Right.
and full screen here. So the first picture is it's got the blue on the outside, and then on the
Mhm.
inside you've got a couple different colors like some whites and some pinks.
Okay, so when I take a picture of these, what I see is a white dot going across the sky.
Okay.
But when I enlarge them, okay, you see the green going around the edges?
Oh yeah.
That's kind of a halo. That's an energy field that's around this thing that changes constantly, you know. This thing, well, this thing might resemble the light that you would see if you were looking at the spark of an arc welder. That dark blue that's around it, that's an aura that the light on the inside creates. So it's not solid. It's not a a shape of a craft or anything. I've just noticed that over the years that if you were to look at the detail of the lights on the inside, they match that detail of the dark blue, as you go around.
Okay.
It's almost like the light that's on the inside is projecting a light out and it stops right there. And then there's the halo on the outside. So as you go through the pictures, they're all kind of different, but you can see there's straight lines, there's angles, there's elbows. I mean, they're changing colors. To me, it looks like some kind of a machine.
Like
It,
an
it,
interdimensional type machine or something.
yeah, that's what I was trying to say earlier. The stuff that even your one friend Boris that sends you the pictures, I think he's definitely involved in something that's interdimensional. I think these, oh God, Linda Moulton Howe talks about um, self-activating software. And I have a feeling that these will probably have some kind of technology in there like that. Because I believe they travel through the skies. They might, I think these things understand the principles of this planet more so than man does. I think they're way beyond any technology that we have. I think they're drawing energy right out of the air, and because they're silent and I've seen them go all kinds of speeds. I'm really waiting for the day when I catch a picture of one of these things attacking an asteroid or something. I think that'll be the smoking gun, but it seems to me that they're just patrolling our skies, just waiting.
Almost like they could be some type of surveillance system.
Yeah, yeah, but I wouldn't doubt it, and um, that's about all I can say about that, because I heard somebody say not to, recently they said it's better to investigate the unexplained than to try to explain the uninvestigated. And
Good point.
all I can do is I've taken pictures of these things and I'm just trying to put a picture together. And I haven't seen them do any harm. I've seen them follow jets and I've seen them cross the path of a jet. Um, I've seen them, so obviously the jet is no threat to it. And I'd imagine they know the jet's there. I don't think they're concerned with people or anything like that. I'm sure they would protect themselves. Like if NASA was trying to load one into the payload bay of a shuttle or something, I think it might detonate itself.
Or just disappear. I mean,
Yeah,
how would you
yeah,
catch it?
maybe. Yeah, maybe. Or wink out, just go out of this dimension totally. And that's another thing that that video that you sent me about Boris, you mentioned in there these things just seem to show up. And I
Right.
thought that was a very interesting statement. But anyway, you want to move down and go into something else?
Yeah, that'd be great. I was actually, while you were talking, I was just flipping through that batch of pictures because you've got about 40 just in that batch alone, I think there.
Right.
So, or 53 actually. Fascinating. And now where we're going to go to is this real connection that you put together. I'd like you to discuss this because a lot
Okay.
of people aren't super familiar with the Vril Society and some of the connections that you were able to put together there as well.
Yeah, the Vril Society was a group of psychic women, and I think it was back in the 30s, I believe. And they were um, Hitler and I probably Stalin and places, people like that were in contact with these women because they were psychic and they could uh, they could interact with the beings, the aliens, whoever they are. And you can see in these pictures, like if you click on that first one, well, like I said in the description up there, that Werner von Braun said that these are the entities that help them build their flying saucers for the German. I don't know if is the bell. I don't think that was part of it, but like the picture of the flying saucer in the picture there, because what that picture is with the two women, it's a screenshot that I took out of a video. They were talking about this subject, and if you click on that first picture, in the center there, below that gold symbol, is a little walnut shape, and in that picture, if you click on the next one, I've enhanced it, and in the very center of it, you see like a little, well, like you mentioned, it looks like those troll dolls from when we were a kid,
Mm-hmm.
only without the hair.
Right.
And
The
then,
bald
and
one.
then, right. And in the next picture, I have an arrow pointing to it. And in the next picture is one that I took a picture of. And then again, when I take pictures of these, they look just like the other ones. They look like a white dot going across the sky, only these will light up and then go dark. And they'll do that every so often. Sometimes they stay lit for quite a while, and I know, well, for me, I believe they have a consciousness because obviously that picture, there's something in there. And I have many pictures like this. But when I saw that picture of the Vril Society, I go, man, I got the very same picture. And then, they said that Werner von Braun said that these were the entities that were giving them information on how to build their flying saucers. And I go, oh man. So that's why I made this post. Um, and I have a lot of pictures of these entities. And can we scroll down to the next one?
Yeah, let's do that. I'm telling you though, this one that you've got, I've got it zoomed in full screen right now, and it literally looks. If you were to get a picture of one of those little trolls, I wish I could remember the name of them, with all the hair, and put
Yeah,
it side by side with this picture that you've got, it
right.
looks identical. I mean, the eyes are symmetrical there. The nose, the ears, the head. Then you've got these little arms, these little legs, and I know what people are going to say that are
Yeah,
skeptical, and I'm neutral on the subject too. Hey, this very well could be swamp gas. I mean,
yeah,
this
I could.
I'm being sarcastic there, but I don't know what it is, and it's just fascinating to see the connections there. So yeah, let's scroll down to some other pictures here, and
Well, and
I'll
I kind of wonder myself too, because like my sister-in-law, we talk and she says, "Who are you?" You
right.
know, because I'm catching all these pictures all the time. Okay, the next one, I saw this picture of this rock with these two aliens standing in front of it. And if you zoom in on it, you can see this orange goo that came out of this rock. And and then I took that other picture. Like I said, when these things fly over, I talk to them. I've been kind of doing CE5 before I knew that Stephen Greer was doing it, but I
What?
didn't know
What did I
that
do
he.
now?
Uh-oh, what happened?
Oh, sorry, we had something went with the audio. Let me see if I can fix this. Yeah, all right, I fixed it. We're good.
Okay. So, like I was saying, I've been kind of doing my own version of CE5 before I was paying attention to Stephen Greer and what he was doing. And then I investigated him and I realized we're doing the same thing. But as these things go over, and especially the ones that light up and they go dim, when they go dim, they look like that first picture. They look like a rock. And and as they light up, I have pictures of the whole process, and sometimes it takes 30 or 40 pictures to see the thing go from dim to lit up to dim again. And they'll light up from one side, and it just kind of like a flame burning across a tissue paper. It goes, the brightness goes from one side to the other. And as it gets bright, they become transparent. And when I see those that are blinking, I ask them. I say, "Do you mind if I take your picture?" And if they don't want their picture taken, they will go dark. And I believe there's consciousness on these things, and they hear you. Because when I go outside, I mean, the first thing I do is I say, "Hey, I'm here. I'm standing in my driveway in Pocatello, Idaho, and this is my frequency and this is my vibration. Come by and see me." And I say, let me see you and let me take pictures of you. So, I put it out there, and that next picture is a real picture. I mean, you can see this little alien head, and he was about 5 miles up, 4 to 5 miles, and I'm looking up at it, which means it's looking down at me. And I have a feeling that these little guys travel in some kind of a stasis or a flux, some kind of an energy field. And if they want to see something or they want to be seen, they have to become somewhat solid. And that's why you'll only see a head sticking up out of that colored whatever it is. It could be just an energy pool, but when it when it goes dark, we can see kind of like you can see a little corona going around that thing. When it's when it goes dark, it's about the size of all of the green that's in there. But it's just amazing to go through the pictures and see this thing light up, and it just gets transparent from one side to the other as it lights up. But that's a real picture. I mean, people look at that and they go, I don't know what I'm looking at. And I go, well, do you see the face? And and then they see it and they go, oh wow, I didn't even see that, because they didn't know what they were looking at. But I believe they're conscious. I think there's all kinds of ETs out there. If you scroll down to the next one for January 1st,
Yep, we're here right now.
okay, that's the same situation. The picture that's above it was the original picture. You can see the little blue dot over on the left over there. If you download that picture yourself, you
Mm-hmm.
can zoom in on it and you'll see that guy, that little guy. He
Like he's in
looks
a
like
casket
Thor.
almost.
Yeah, he looks like Thor, on Stargate SG-1 or any typical gray. And that's another case of one that is blinking going across the sky. I have all these pictures on a CD somewhere where it goes from dark to light, and that particular picture that showed up, and it just looks like it's looking at me, and because I'm looking up at it, it's looking down. I mean, it could be looking straight forward, but it isn't. It seems to be looking down at me. And then the very next one on January 1st, actually, we're going through these backwards, from when I posted them.
Yeah, that's fine. So
But
now this is like the one where it's zoomed out, basically.
yeah, the first one
Mm-hmm.
is the original picture.
Okay.
In case anybody's thinking I'm full of bull, download it and zoom in and on yourself, and there it is. See that face?
Well, okay. So this one I zoomed in, and I'm not seeing the face quite like you like on the other ones. I can definitely see, this orb thing, but
Okay, see the next picture that
mm,
has my name on it,
yeah, Wayne Miller 2014.
right?
Yeah,
That blue.
I see the blue. I
You
just
see the
don't see the
face at the bottom?
mm,
Those two black dots.
vaguely. Not, I mean, I don't see it as much in the other ones, but as I did in the other ones, but certainly, I'm
Yeah.
well, actually, you know what? Now that I kind of look at it more, I do. Wait a second, I
Uh-huh.
do. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. I'm putting my the mouse cursor around it right now while I'm talking to you, so I can see it
Right.
more, and I can see the two eyes there, and then well, it's kind of like a nose and little neck.
And a
So,
mouth, maybe.
but here's the thing with that is as real
Hmm.
as it does look, then you're going to get people who are going to say, well, if you look at the clouds, you can come
Right.
up with all sorts of stuff, right?
Exactly. Exactly. That's why I put that one in there too, because I have a lot of different pictures of the same kind of stuff. It's just that, I there's there's a lot of stuff flying through our skies at night. See, I can't base my whole career on that picture right there, but what else would it be? You know, I can't say that that one's a face, but I have a lot of pictures on my Facebook that definitely show beings in the pictures.
This could be their new virtual reality video game system that they've got. Like the PlayStation 23,000.
Exactly.
They're
Yeah.
just floating around there like Silver Surfers. So that's pretty cool.
Well, who knows what it is, but you know what? I mean, if they want, I'm thinking that, well, I just put that one on there. I can't say for sure what it is because, but to me, it looks like a face
Hmm.
and it just looks weird, you know?
Certainly
So
looks cool.
it is, it's different. I mean, but it's a real picture. I mean, I don't Photoshop. Yeah, I do put my pictures in Photoshop, but all I do is I enlarge my pictures and crop them. I don't do anything to my pictures. I'm not smart enough. I wouldn't know how. But okay, you want to go down to the next one?
Yeah, I'm on the next one now, and we're on the original image before it gets zoomed in, and you can see what looks like a couple of lights, or a few lights actually. It almost looks like this one has a large fin on the back where there's a light on the top of it. So yeah,
Okay, is that December 23rd?
let me double check here.
My triangle?
It's the triangle one. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, what that is I was going outside about 9 o'clock every night and because it was dark and things were right, So I go outside and it was cloudy and I look up and there's this pinkish light coming at me. Now, where I live, I'm in Pocatello, Idaho, which is 71 miles north of Utah, and it's 70 miles west of Montana. And is it Montana or it's Wyoming at that point? Montana's above. Both of those states border Idaho. So I border Montana right there. So if I were to go due east, I would probably run into Cheyenne Mountain. But that's a few hundred miles away.
Okay.
So I'm looking up, and this thing's coming at me from the east, and it's going west. And it's a pinkish light, and the clouds were maybe 2 miles up. It was real cloudy that night. I thought it was going to rain. I didn't even know why I went out. I just did. And I look up, and this thing's coming at me, and I didn't even have my camera set up. I mean, I had the legs spread, but I'm rushing through it. I started snapping pictures of this thing because I didn't know how long it was going to last. It was just under the clouds, and I started. I God, I think I took 30 pictures or something like that of it. And towards the end, the last picture in my viewer, I saw a red light. And I thought, oh man, I'm wasting my time on a jet plane here. And I started looking through the pictures on my camera, reviewing them. And there's all these big lights on there. And I'm like, oh man, airplanes don't have that. And so I looked back up. I wanted to take more pictures of it. And it was gone. I think it went up into the clouds. I don't think it zoomed off. But it was silent and didn't make any noise. And it was just moving west. I mean, I don't really think I was supposed to see it. Well, maybe I was. I don't know. Sometimes it's so strange that I just go out the door and there it is. And sometimes my camera isn't even set up, and so I'm fumbling. But I think that could be hours. I don't know where triangles come from.
Well, that looks like if it is one of ours, certainly maybe it came out of Dugway or Area 51 or something because that's incredible. I'm looking at the zoomed in version of it right now, and
Okay,
yeah, that's
down the
really
page.
cool.
Right,
That is awesome because so yeah, it looks like it's you can definitely tell it's a craft of some sort, and you're only seeing the lights there, but this
right.
doesn't look like the typical multi-dimensional or interdimensional type looking stuff that you've been showing us before. So you're picking up all sorts of fun stuff out there.
I do, that's why I said my sister-in-law says, "Who are you?" Because she knows who I am, but why am I here and why is all this happening to me? And, just above that is that little orange orb thing. And
Okay, well let's go to that one then now. Zoom
yeah,
out of this
there's
and
there's only three pictures. And the first picture is the original picture, and dead center of that picture there's an orange dot. And that's what I saw in the sky, and I took 31 pictures of this. And when I zoomed in on it, that orange ball was there, and it was just hovering in the sky. This is during the day, and it was up. It looked like it was up maybe a mile and a half, 2 miles off the ground, and it looked like it was. Well, I know a jet flew between me and it, so I figured there's an airport from us that's 10 miles away, but I don't think it was quite that far away. This thing probably was like 5 or 6 miles away. But then the next picture is a NASA picture of an orange orb that's in front of a solar panel, and I believe it's on either a space station or Mir or something like that. I really don't know where the picture is. I just know it was a NASA picture.
okay,
So I grabbed it because that orange orb is identical to the one I took pictures of.
it is absolutely identical.
Yeah, and I think mine might be a little clearer.
It
Any-
is.
Anyway, so that was
Nice work,
another
Wayne.
lucky shot. Yeah. And that was taken all manual settings on my camera. I had a really old lens on my camera, and I lucked out on that one. But anyway, as we go down, do you see December 7th with the blue ship?
Yeah, pulling it up right now. There. Okay. Yeah,
Okay.
that's
I said you've heard of solar warden. I mean, that's what I wrote on there. I don't know for sure. What happened here, if you click on the big picture, you can see it coming in from the left, that streak of light.
You know what? I think I actually went back to the one on December 7th that I was looking at again here was the one we were
Oh,
just looking at a minute ago. So this is actually, yeah, okay, December 7th. Here we
yeah,
go. Bingo. All
yeah. The
right, let's see
the
here.
the, the big picture. What was going on that night is I wasn't having any luck. And so I just pointed my camera straight up, and I opened up the shutter for 10 seconds, and I snapped it, and I just let it go. And I reviewed the picture, and when I did, this craft came in. And it's actually kind of upside down from the way I saw the picture. But are you able to zoom into that picture and blow it up at all?
The first one?
Yeah,
Let me see. Let's take a
the
look
big
here.
one that shows everything.
It actually won't really let me here the way that I've got it
Okay.
shared. So
Well, anyway, if you follow that blue line with the object in front of it,
I can see it though. That's on the left side. I would say it's
right,
about 9 o'clock
yeah.
position. Yep, I see it.
If you follow that line straight through, you'll see a white dot that has a little blue
I see it.
tail behind it.
Yep.
And then right in front of it, there's another one all the way to the right of the picture at about 3 o'clock in
Yep.
the picture.
Yep. I see it.
Okay, then the one that's in the center straight up from it, about halfway up, there's another one.
Okay.
Kind of hard to see. And then at about 6 o'clock, there's another one. And I think what happened is actually that thing that came in from the left at 9 o'clock, I believe, is ours. I think it's I think they call it a manta. And I think it's a personal transport that can haul like 600 people. And I think there's actually two of them because if you look over the blue line towards the side of the picture, there's another blue
I
line
see
just
both of them.
above
Yeah,
it.
like it's like two big chemtrails.
Yeah, and it almost looks like the one over the top of it passed it up. And directly in front of that thing, like halfway between the craft and the white one, there's a blue dot. And I think that's the other one. I think there was two of these that came into the picture. Now this is me saying, but I think they broke something up. I think there was like 5 or 6 ships parked there having a powwow or something, and these guys raced onto the scene, and these things took off in all different directions. That's what that picture looks like to me. And then, of course, I blew up the picture so you can see what the craft looks like.
Oh, these are cool. Like this one right here. The first one that you've got zoomed in, it's like this blue. Looks like it's got a little thruster on the back there. I mean, I don't know
Yeah,
what it is. It could be anything. But then the
right.
next one's even cooler because this one's got like this orange orb on the
Okay,
end of it, and then it's got the blue on the left. It's parallel
right.
lines with each other.
So
Fascinating.
what that one actually is that was another picture that I took of something, like those Terminators that I was taking a picture of. And when I went back and I looked at the pictures, this thing was way down in the left corner. And I saw it, but I didn't pay attention to it. And then I went back one day and I looked at it and I zoomed it in. And I think that orange ball is actually a hot pixel in my camera. I don't think it's part of the craft, but I believe the rest of it is the craft. And it kind of resembles that other one. That's why I grouped them together.
That's neat. And then if you go back to the one before that, wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's
See,
incredible.
yeah, I've gotten lucky, you
Yeah,
know.
for sure. Let's see
And
here.
actually on my page, like you see the one down to the right over there on the page, not in these pictures, but it's well, you're not looking at the same thing I am, maybe. Anyway, it's actually the picture of my page, the one that has all the colors in it at the top going dark. That that's
Yep.
another that's another picture that just showed up in a picture when I snapped it. I don't have any control over what's flying around in the skies, and things do show up in your pictures. So, but anyway, where should we go from here?
Okay. Well, I've got a full screen now of the picture that's on the top of your homepage there, and then
Uh,
we can scroll down and if you'd like, we could look at some of those other ones that looks like there's these possible entities inside of it. Let's go down to. Let's see here. Scroll down. Um,
Actually, we're almost out of things right after that. It's just
okay. Well, you've got
that
this
that
one right here that looks pretty darn cool to me, where there's some type of craft-looking thing, and there's some wood there to the
yeah,
left. Looks like
that's a
a
that's a telephone pole.
telephone pole. Yeah.
Yeah, that's from a bigger picture. I took, nothing happening again. That's why I always say, you know what? Take the picture anyway. That's from a bigger picture. And what I did was I took a picture of the moon. And when I went back and I looked at the picture, this craft was sitting next to that pole. Actually, it was on its way somewhere. And in the bigger picture, there's another one farther away. And you can barely see it. I know where it's at. I could show anybody. But it's in the picture. And there's two of them in this picture. But that's actually my background picture for my Facebook page. So that's what that was.
That's great.
So anyway,
Well, I certainly appreciate you spending some time with us here at the Leak Project, Wayne. These are some fascinating pictures, and I'll bet you the audience is going to be pretty. There's going to be some really cool comments. I can't wait to read what people have to say about this stuff. This is
good. Yeah.
fascinating.
I hope they visit the page and, like it if you like it and say what you think. Okay, can we go back to what Boris did?
Great. Sure.
Okay, now on my Facebook page, I've posted probably hundreds, if not thousands, of pictures of craft that I took last summer. And what I said I like to do, I just go outside with my camera and I take about 5 shots in this direction. You know, as fast as the camera will take the pictures, mine'll take 6 frames in 1 second. And that's what I do. But I count out five, because if there's nothing there, I don't want to waste one. So I count out five, and then I go back in and I look through the pictures and I find things. And a lot of my stuff is resembling what Boris is seeing. And he's lucky. Wilbur keeps telling me to take videos, and my camera really doesn't do well with video. He's using a much nicer Nikon camera than me, and so he can take good videos, but mine doesn't. But I think what Boris is seeing is what I'm seeing, and here I go again. I'm going to tell you what I feel.
Great.
Yeah, so in my pictures, you'll see, I mean, if anybody scrolls down my page, which is just Wayne Miller on Facebook, I mean, my avatar is a picture of a UFO hovering over a water tower, which represents something that I saw at 11 years old in Minnesota. So, but in my pictures, what really got me going on these things was whenever like a big bird of prey, an eagle or a hawk or something would fly over, I would take pictures of it. Same thing, as many as I can. And I would notice these little craft things in the pictures. And I got to thinking, it seems like these birds can't go anywhere without these things being around them. And so, I kind of got the thought of, I think these things are monitoring the wildlife. Because towards the end of summer, when it started getting cold, and some animals turn in for the winter, they go hibernate and stuff, and these craft disappear. And kind of what replaces them are these spheres and orbs. And usually the orbs are kind of a milky white, real bright. And so I was noticing, like you'll see in my pictures, but I've even taken pictures of my wife from a distance, and they're over her. They'll stop for just a brief second and then they're gone. And they move so fast, and sometimes they're the size of a baseball. Some of them are about the size of like a Mini Cooper, but you don't see them. They go so fast, you don't see them. Usually if you're outside and you catch a little something that, out of the corner of your eye and you look and there's nothing there, it's probably one of these things. And during the summer when it was full on hot out, they're everywhere in the sky. That's why I just go out and man, I could point my camera in any direction and catch them. And especially if there's an animal, like if there's a cat in the distance and you take a picture of the cat and you catch the sky too, they're there. And so, you kind of, after, thousands of these pictures that you're taking, you try and put this scenario together. And I know that these things are part of the bigger picture of the UFOs and everything that's going on. Anything interdimensional, I'd imagine, they're a part of it. And, you hear other people, it kind of gets me going. You hear people like Preston Dennett, and he talks about UFOs and he says, basically the inside of a UFO is like a hospital. And when they come and they take you out of your dimension into their dimension, and they do tests or whatever, fix you, whatever they're going to do. Then they bring you back and they're gone. And I think the same thing is here too, because what kind of got me about what you said on Boris's video, you said it seems like they just appear. And that struck me as strange because sometimes I go out and take pictures and the only thing in the sky is like a little black ball. And it'll just be sitting there and it looks like it's about the size of a basketball, but unless you're looking right at it, you wouldn't see it. I see them in my pictures, and as I look at the pictures, you can tell it's spinning. So it almost looks like it's up there and it's just kind of taking a 360-degree view of the area. And I think it's looking for anything that's alive. And then if something needs tending to or whatever, I think they radio to something and it comes and does whatever it needs to do. That's my impression of what I think's going on. And I know I shouldn't jump to conclusions and say anything like that, but I can't really see anything else.
There's nothing wrong with trying to find the answers. You're not saying that it's a definitive, you're saying, I think that this is it. And that's a good thing to wonder what it could be.
Right. And I hear other things, because I'm like every other ufologist. I listen to the people, like um, Peter Robbins and Richard Dolan. They had a great video where they're talking about artificial intelligence, and Richard Dolan said something. He said, "I don't see the harm in thinking that this planet could have been created by an artificial intelligence of some sort." And so your mind gets to wandering. What if this planet is a basically like a terrarium that was created by an artificial intelligence? What if we're at the zoo? I mean, I don't know. I'm just saying.
What if we're the Cylons?
What if we're in the zoo?
Right.
Because I'll tell people, I'll say, you know what, you can't go from your house to your car without being seen by at least 5 or 6 of these things. And what if they saw you yesterday and they monitored you? What if they can read your skin temperature and take your vital signs in just a wink of an eye? And tomorrow they do the very same thing. And what if there's something wrong with you and they report it? And the next night you get a visit in the middle of the night. You know? I mean, I don't know.
Right.
That's why my mind kind of wanders out there, and since a lot of species on this planet, what do they say? Like at least 25 species on this planet go extinct every day, and new ones show up every day. And where do they come from? There's really no evidence that anything comes from anything else. They still haven't proven where we come from, but there's definitely 5 different races of people on this planet right now: yellow, white, black, orange, and red people. You know what I mean? So
Well,
if
there used to be more than that. I mean, I think that if you read back several thousand years ago, they've found archaeology, or not archaeology, they found bones and artifacts and such, and they think that people might have been even different colors like blue and such. So it's
and
incredible.
green,
Yeah,
right?
and green.
Yeah. So I'm just saying, what if that that's what keeps me going. I mean, I can't not think about this stuff all day long. I mean, every chance I get, I go outside with my camera. I won't even walk to the mailbox without my camera in my hand. So that's where my brains are at. But so anyway,
Well, this has been great, and I certainly appreciate you sharing this with us. And what you do is fantastic. Keep up the good work, and
thank
hopefully
you.
we can have the opportunity to speak with you again sometime here on the Leak Project. And if you have an opportunity to get some new shots, would love to see them.
I'll definitely send them your way.
Well, and Wayne, I got to say, for maybe in the future, if there are people that want to check out your work as well, if you just go ahead and plug your Facebook pages again for them, that'd be fantastic.
Okay, yeah, because that's all I really have going on is my Facebook page, which is Wayne Miller, 2 words. Like I said, my avatar is like a little orangey picture of a flying saucer hovering over a water tower. But on there's kind of a sister page, and it's called Going Dark. That's GOINDARK 1, and that's where those pictures are that we were viewing today. And drop in there and take a look and let me know what you think. I'm just a UFO photographer, and I post only my own pictures. I won't post a picture of anything else that somebody takes because I get in trouble because people ask me questions and I can't answer them. So, this is what I am and what I do. So,
Fantastic.
and and I listen to all the people, all the biggies. Uh, some of my friends are people like Erica Lukes. Do you know who she is?
No, who's that?
Oh, Erica Lukes. Oh man, she was a MUFON investigator. She was the state investigator for Utah, the MUFON investigator. She just recently quit.
Oh, okay.
But now I'm going to plug something here. She has a show on Fridays. As a matter of fact, she's on right now at 5 o'clock on Fridays Mountain Time on a radio station called KCOR. That's KCOR, and the owner of that is Tina Marie. But Erica is amazing. She's a beautiful person, and she rubs elbows with everybody. She's interviewed everybody from Stanton Friedman to Richard Dolan, Peter Robbins, all of them. She's had them all on, and she's just an amazing person. But I like to plug her because she plugs me. So, anyway, that's about all I know, unless something new happens to me.
Oh, I'm sure it will. Just keep the camera with you, my friend.
I
This is
will.
awesome. Thanks again, Wayne. This has been a pleasure, and you have a fantastic day. I'd like to thank all of our listeners for joining us here at the Leak Project. Make sure to check back daily for new updates. If you subscribe, become a member, it's absolutely free. You'll have access to all the latest podcasts first. And when we get the opportunity to speak with awesome people like Wayne, so do you guys. So thanks again, Wayne. This has been awesome. Stay safe and be the change you want to see.
Thank you, Rex.
Thank you so much.
Mhm.